Hey guys, I've tried recording this now 5 times and I just keep deleting it because I just keep deleting it. So I wanted to just do like a short little talk and just see where it goes about the Book of Enoch because I always talk about it and other like correlations I've found in other scripture or other books, right? And so the book of Enoch was Noah's great grandfather, right? So his whole book was written basically about kind of like the end of the time and world in their time, like the flood was coming. And he was a scribe, he was a writer, right? But the book of Enoch essentially is about these fallen angels, these watchers, or whatever they were supposed to look out for humanity. They decided to make a pact together, come down here, turn away from their, I guess, appointed positions. Like, when a planet, when Jupiter goes in his place, that's his appoint. He's showing up for work, if that makes sense. So these angels fell down here. They slept with. So the scripture says they slept with human women, which when the women birthed these kids, they ended up being these like monstrous giant creatures who would eat humans. He just was not good to the earth in general, and they were just really monstrous. They weren't, the way that I've read it is that they didn't have like the breath of spark in them. Like they're not of I don't they're not of the most high, right? So I don't know the right word for it, but I guess like it's not something animated like how a spirit would be. Let's move on. So in terms of how the book of Enoch talks about these fallen angels coming down here and whatnot, I turn to the book of Jude, right? And listen to this. And I'm correlating these because Enoch is talked about in the Bible, but his book's not in the Bible. So listen to this. And I mean, tell me, it seems like it goes together, right? So the book of Jude 1 says, For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before an old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lavishness, and denying our only Lord. And it says, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that they believed not. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under the darkness, the judgment of the great day, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them, in like the manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth an example for suffering and vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of indignities. Yet Michael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring about. But these speak evil of those things, and they know not. But these speak evil of those things which they know not. But what they know naturally as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. Woe unto them, for they have gone into the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the grain sanding of Kor. These are spots in your feasts of charity. When the feasts with you, feeding them in themselves of fear, clouds they are without water. Oh, clouds they are without water! Guys, clouds they are without water, carried about of the winds, trees, fruits, blah, 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 blah. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out of their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I might stop there just to kind of go back and explain why that was kind of crazy. So that's definitely a connection to the fallen angels, right? Where he says, and the angels which kept not their first estate. So that's kind of like what I was saying. Let's say that these fallen angels aren't like humanoid bodies, right? Let's look at them like they're luminary bodies, right? Like they're stars, right? And they left their latitude, longitude, place of where they're supposed to be, right? And what does it say? Left their first estate, their habitation, and they're reserved now in the darkness and chained until the day of judgment, right? And that kind of reminds me of the Euphrates River and how the Azazel and all those other fallen angels in the book of Enoch it speaks of were chained and bound underneath there until the day of judgment, right? And so it says that. It says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities, blah, 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 giving themselves over to fornication, going after strange flesh, are set for an example of eternal fire. Okay, so I'm actually going to skip my thought about that one for now because I just want to stay on the scripture because, all right, so this is Jude, right? And this to me is definitely talking about the fallen angels, but listen to this. It kind of just makes me wonder, are they luminaries? Are they physical beings? Are they both? Are they etheric? Because it says that woe to them, right? You know, these are they have gone in the way of Cain. Cain killed Abel when God was like, why would you, the Most High was like, why did you kill your brother? He's like, I'm not my brother's keeper. And the Most High is like, well, I can hear his blood screaming over there. So then he's like, so obviously Cain, went against the law, murdered his own fucking brother. And, okay, so it says, these are spots in your feast of charity, when they feast with you, feeding with themselves without fear. Clouds they are without water, carried about of winds. Trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out of their own shame. Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. That's what we call planets. We call planets wandering stars, right? Because they don't have necessarily their own fixed position. They kind of like go how they go. That's what we call them. And so it just makes you wonder, maybe there's energies coming through. I don't know. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with this is like, what are these, what happened? Okay, I'm going to go to Genesis 6 now, and then I'm going to close this up. So apparently I think there's more of a connection here too because like I said, Enoch's mentioned in the Bible, but his book's not. So I'm just trying to like find other connections, right? And so here we go to Genesis 6, right? And now we're at the time of like Noah and whatever. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and that they were fair, and that they took them for wives, all of which they chose. Doesn't that just sound like the fallen angels came down here and fucked the human women? Okay. All right. And then it said, And then the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days should be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, even though, I'm a liar. Every AI will tell you, every social media time, I'm a liar. There's no proof. But there were giants back in those days. When the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they had children unto them, and some became mighty men, which are of old men and renowned. Mighty men, and what I believe through my studies means, it doesn't always mean like bad, but I think it does mean a giant. The mighty ones, like, let me see if I can find something here. Here, giants, they have it as defined as Nephilim, the sons of God as angels. You know that spirit in Hebrew is ruach. So if I say that, that's what I mean. Okay. Okay, so then God saw the wickedness of man was great, and the earth, and that every imagination and thought was evil and wicked, and it made him really upset and mad. And he said, and the Lord said, I will destroy man, for whom I created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me, and have I made. But Noah found grace, lucky Noah. Did you guys know that Noah was actually an albino? and that there's a legal organization in the United States, and its like acronym is NOAA, and it stands for something about national, like, pigmentation. I have look it up, but there is something about for albinos, national albinos, something like that. National Association of Albino something. Okay, I swear to God. So I'm connecting the dots here. Seems like, and what is that? And what does that mean? The pig, like that he's albino. Does that mean that he's more pure? Does that mean that the flesh wasn't as corrupt? I mean, I might be getting. This is where I probably have to stop for now and go deeper on my podcast for those people that are into this. Okay, so if you want to join and hear more, I'm gonna like go more in depth on my podcast. I mean, I'm not my podcast, on my blog on fingers.com, and you'll be able to find stuff there. But you do have to sign up with your email. It's free. And yeah, that's about it, guys. So I'm going to stop this for now. And then I'm going to, I'm going to post the rest of it to Fingers. But only for subscribers. Thanks. Bye.